And this is the ongoing problem that we continue to see because of the high price of oil, because of the BS out of China and Shanghai and their ridiculous shutdown. All of these things weigh into the supply chain, which is broken.
I don't know why we're smiling. It's a retail wreckage, Todd. Retail wreckage. So we're going to talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on that. I want to get your latest thoughts on the Fed speak. We're going to talk inflation, gold, so all that good stuff. So you want to stick around, folks. Um, Tell me, how are you feeling?
I feel great. I feel
Okay.
great. I'm very unhappy with the world and what's going on in it, but I'm very happy to be healthy and alive.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's start with analysts that have pointed to the ongoing retail wreck. They're saying it reflects a shift in consumers' demand for services rather than goods, and some have suggested stocks may be getting overly punished here. Do you agree? Are stocks getting overly punished?
I do not agree, Danny. I think that you're seeing a wreckage because you have a broken supply chain, because you have inflation running through the roof. If you take a look at a Walmart and a Target that got clobbered last
Yeah.
week, down almost 30% in one day, those are like utilities. They don't make those kind of moves. And when you can't get enough supply to fill your store, it's hard to make your numbers. And this is the ongoing problem that we continue to see because of the high price of oil, because of the BS out of China and Shanghai and their ridiculous shutdown. All of these things weigh into the supply chain, which is broken. And of course, our administration wants to do nothing about it. They could solve these problems with the stroke of a pen by allowing fracking and shale producing. We'd be back in business. Our inflation would drop. We'd be back to paying $2.50 a gallon for gas instead of $6.
And we're going to go through all these points. You've basically just laid out the landscape for our interview here. So, okay, let's start. Let's start with the Fed. Okay, they've come out. They said, look, we're committed to a near-term rate and quantitative tightening path. We get it, with a goal to soften demand and moderate inflation without inducing a recession. First, will they be successful? What's your take here?
The Fed will never be successful because they're ignorant. Okay, they may be brilliant people that go to school, but they refuse to let a free market system work. They continue to try to manipulate the currencies. They continue to try to, fraudulently tax us without, taxation without representation. This is a brutal system that has no clue of what to do next. So they should have been raising rates for the last 10 years. We are so far behind that even if we got rates to 5%, we'd still be operating at a nominal negative rate. So they are totally clueless and will not be able to stop the recession that we are already in. There is not a chance that we are not already in a recession, but of course we know that economists don't identify things until it's way too late.
Right. And you have said that. You have said, look, we're already in a recession. That was our headline from our last interview. When are they going to come out and say and officialize this, that the recession has already started?
Probably not for a couple of years from now because that's how they operate. Again, their job is to duck and cover and kind of try to hide what the real problems are. And the real problems is we're so debt ridden and so many of these banks are so over leveraged that when you start seeing defaults, you're going to see the system once again collapse. And I don't know how much tools or how much power the Fed has left to save these or bail these guys out. Of course, they should have never bailed them out in the first place, which is the problem we should always remember.
Okay, let's talk gas prices now because President Biden appeared at a press conference earlier this week following a visit to South Korea and Japan with members of the Quad. But during the conference, he seemed to praise the skyrocketing gas prices. And I just want to share his quote here. He says, here's the situation. And when it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, will be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over. Thoughts on his comments here? I mean, he's praising the higher gas prices.
Can you say I don't have any idea what I'm talking about? When somebody makes a comment like that, you realize we could not be green today if we could have a magic wand. Our power grid would not support it. And you already are talking about rolling blackouts throughout the summer. Okay, so how are we going to be praising getting ripped off and trying to turn this nation into globalization and socialism instead of capitalism? you're destroying every middle American person in this country that is going to have trouble feeding their families with the high cost of gas. Not to mention we got a shortage of food coming on top of everything else because of what this administration is doing.